What if you were never separate? What if the gap you feel between who you are now and who you wish to become is only an illusion, a trick of perception? Because the truth is this: you are already tied to your dream life. Just as stars are bound in constellations by invisible gravity, just as particles split apart remain mysteriously entangled across galaxies, you too are woven into a hidden web of connection. An unseen field stretches beyond the limits of your senses, linking you to futures you cannot yet touch, but can already feel. And this is where the story begins. You have been raised to believe in separation, the body here, the dream there. Time stretched out in a line where one day you might arrive. But quantum physics whispers something different. When scientists split a particle into two, sending them in opposite directions, what happens is not ordinary. No matter the distance, each half continues to respond instantly to the other, as if a secret thread runs between them, faster than light, deeper than space. Einstein himself called it spooky action at a distance. And here's the revelation: you are no different. Some part of you is already entangled with the life you long for, the relationship you dream of, the abundance you crave, the freedom you ache to feel. They are not dangling out of reach, waiting to be earned through struggle. They are waiting to be remembered, because you are bound to them already, through threads that the eyes cannot see, but the heart can sense. Think of a time you met someone for the first time and yet felt you already knew them, or a song you had never heard, but it pulled tears from your eyes as though it had been written for you. These are echoes of the entanglement field, glimpses of the invisible threads tugging at your awareness, reminding you of what is already connected to you. And yet, you forget. You doubt. You believe the lie that you are alone in your striving. But look deeper. Every thought, every feeling, every frequency you radiate becomes a signal across this field. You are not just hoping for a dream life. You are in constant conversation with it. Like two entangled particles, one in the present, one in the future, each influencing the other in real time. So pause, breathe. Let yourself imagine the version of you already living in that reality. Notice how they smile. Notice how they carry themselves. Notice how they breathe easier, how they wake in gratitude, how they trust the flow. And now realize this: they are not out there. They are already tied to you. The shift begins here, when you stop believing in separation and start remembering entanglement. You are not walking toward your dream life. You are walking with it, bound by invisible threads that no force in the universe can cut. This is not wishful thinking. It is physics. It is psychology. It is the truth of who you are. And the more you lean into this truth, the more you awaken to the reality that your dream life has always been within reach, because you were never apart from it. What if reality is not happening to you but through you? What if every person, every circumstance, every challenge you face is less a fixed event and more a reflection of what you carry within? This is the paradox of the mirror. The world you see is not a rigid external truth. It is a moving reflection of your inner state. Quantum physics reveals this in strange ways. When scientists fire particles through a double slit, they behave like scattered waves when unobserved, but collapse into neat, ordered particles the moment they are measured. The act of observation, the simple presence of awareness, reshapes the outcome. The experiment does not show you what is. It shows you what you expect to see, and life is no different. Every belief you hold, every unconscious expectation written into your nervous system acts like the observer collapsing reality around you. If you expect rejection, you unconsciously scan for the signs of it. If you carry an identity of scarcity, you interpret opportunities as threats. If you feel unworthy, you filter out evidence of love, even when it is placed right in front of you. Think of two people entering the same room. One sees possibility, the other sees danger. One finds connection, the other feels ignored. The room has not changed, only the mirror of their perception has. And yet, the world bends to fit their gaze. This is why you must stop blaming the mirror. Life is not punishing you. It is showing you the frequency you are broadcasting, the state you are rehearsing. The subconscious mind is the projector behind the mirror. Most of its programs were installed without your consent. Childhood conditioning, societal beliefs, cultural patterns. These invisible codes run silently, shaping the lens through which you perceive and therefore the life you experience. Here lies the key. To change the reflection, you do not fight the mirror. You change the image being projected. Quantum entanglement proves it. Particles mirror one another across galaxies as if space itself cannot break the thread. In the same way, your inner state and your outer world remain tethered. Change one, and the other shifts in response. So ask yourself, what reflection have you been living inside of? What hidden beliefs are being played back to you day after day? Do you see limitation because you are limited, or because your inner lens is clouded by the memory of lack? This chapter is an invitation to polish the mirror, to stop resenting what you see and start reshaping what you are. When you shift your state, when you elevate your frequency into gratitude, joy, or worthiness, the reflection cannot help but change. Here is the awakening. Reality is not a rigid wall. It is a mirror made of liquid possibility, bending to the shape of your consciousness. You are not at the mercy of what appears. You are the one shaping what appears. And the moment you claim that truth, you no longer see the mirror as a judgment. You see it as an ally, a reminder that every new reflection begins inside you. What if your gaze is not passive? What if every glance, every thought, every subtle focus of attention is not simply noticing reality, but shaping it? This is the mystery of the observer effect. The idea that the universe does not exist as something fixed and absolute, but as a shimmering sea of potential, possibilities waiting, probabilities dancing, until you, the observer, arrive. And with the act of looking, with the act of noticing, you collapse the infinite into the finite. The wave becomes the particle, the maybe becomes the is. In the famous double-slit experiment, light behaves like a wave when unmeasured, spreading into endless possibilities. But the moment a conscious observer watches, the wave collapses into a precise form. The experiment does not simply reveal the world. It reveals how the world bends to awareness. And here is the awakening. You are doing this all the time. Every day you collapse possibilities into form by where you place your focus. When you dwell on failure, you collapse more failure. When you linger on lack, you collapse experiences of lack. When you choose gratitude or possibility or love, you collapse experiences that reflect those states. You are not a passive witness to reality. You are the participant who selects which version of reality will solidify. Think of two people walking down the same street. One notices chaos, the noise, the broken pavement, the arguments. The other notices beauty, the trees, the warmth of sunlight, the laughter of children. Both are walking in the same physical space, but they do not live in the same world. Their attention collapses two entirely different realities, and the same is true for you. The life you think you are living is not simply what exists. It is what you have chosen to notice. This is not about blind positivity or pretending everything is perfect. It is about realizing that your focus is creative. Energy flows where attention goes. And what you repeatedly focus on grows roots in the subconscious, shaping the patterns you live inside of tomorrow. For years, you may have been an unconscious observer, reacting to circumstances, allowing old patterns to decide where your gaze falls. But this chapter is your invitation to awaken, to realize that attention is not neutral. It is a paintbrush. It is the chisel shaping stone. It is the vibration that calls matter into order. When you withdraw attention from fear, fear weakens. When you give attention to possibility, possibility strengthens. When you hold your gaze on the reality you desire, you signal to the quantum field, "This is the version I choose." So pause and notice. Where have you been placing your focus? Have you been collapsing the same tired reality day after day by staring at what you do not want? Or are you learning to hold the image of what you love even before it arrives? Here is the shift. Awakening as the observer means reclaiming your creative power. It means refusing to collapse the old story and daring to collapse a new one. You are not waiting for life to change so that you can focus differently. You focus differently, and life begins to change. This is the observer's awakening. The moment you realize that attention is not passive, it is destiny forming itself in your gaze. What if your future is not ahead of you but already beside you? What if the life you long for is not something you must chase, but something already tied to you by threads that time cannot cut? This is the mystery of quantum entanglement. When two particles are entangled, distance does not matter. Separate them by inches or by galaxies, and still they respond to each other instantly, as if space itself has no power to divide them. Physics has no final explanation for why this happens, but the universe is whispering something simple. Separation is an illusion. Connection is the deeper law. Now imagine this. You are entangled with your future self. The version of you who already breathes easier, who already holds the life you dream about, who already wakes with peace instead of fear. They are not waiting for you on some distant timeline. They are here now, tied to you in ways you cannot measure but can begin to sense. Have you ever felt a strange pull, a flash of intuition, a whisper that seemed to come from nowhere? Have you ever made a choice without logic, only to discover later it led you exactly where you needed to be? These are echoes of entanglement, your future self calling back to you, guiding you step by step toward the path that is already yours. Think of it like this. When you set a tuning fork vibrating, another fork across the room begins to sing the same note. They are separate, yet resonant. In the same way, your present self and future self vibrate in resonance. Each thought, each emotion you embody today either tunes you closer to that frequency or drifts you further away. And this is where most people misunderstand. They believe they must run harder, do more, struggle longer to reach their dreams. But the truth is simpler. You do not chase what is entangled with you. You align with it. You become resonant with it. You allow yourself to meet it halfway, not through force, but through frequency. Imagine a rope stretched between you and the future. Every time you embody gratitude, joy, or trust, you tug the rope closer. Every time you collapse into fear, doubt, or self-sabotage, you loosen its pull. The rope is never broken. The bond cannot be severed. But you decide how tightly it draws you toward the life that already belongs to you. So pause and ask yourself, how often do you listen for the whispers? How often do you trust that the instinct you feel is not random, but entanglement? How often do you stop chasing and instead become still enough to notice the pull? Here is the awakening. The future you long for is not separate from you. It is not waiting in the distance, watching silently. It is already entangled with you, already shaping your intuition, already sending signals across the fabric of time. Your task is not to chase it. Your task is to listen, align, and allow yourself to realize the dream is already tied to you. What if the greatest force shaping your reality is not what you think, but what you don't know you think? Beneath the surface of your awareness lies a vast network, a hidden architecture of beliefs, memories, and patterns. This is your subconscious mind, the silent web that binds thought to experience, possibility to outcome, intention to reality. And until you learn to see it, you live inside of it unknowingly, like a fish unaware of the water it swims in. Neuroscience tells us that up to 95% of your daily actions, decisions, and emotional reactions are driven not by conscious choice, but by subconscious programming. These programs are ancient. Some were written in childhood, when you absorbed the voices around you like scripture. Some were carved into you through repeated emotional imprints. A heartbreak, a failure, a word spoken in anger that echoed until it became an identity. Others were inherited, passed down through culture, family, and the invisible agreements of society. And here's the paradox. You believe you are making free choices, but much of the time, you are acting out rehearsed scripts. You are seeing, not with your eyes, but through the lens of old programs. Think of two people applying for the same opportunity. One carries the subconscious belief, I am worthy of success. The other carries the hidden imprint, I am not enough. The first approaches, with confidence, their energy open and magnetic. The second hesitates, radiates doubt, and unconsciously repels what they desire. The external circumstances are the same, but the web of the subconscious decides which version of reality collapses into form. This is why you must turn inward, because no matter how much you strive, no matter how hard you chase, if the subconscious programs are in conflict with your dream, the web pulls you back into the old pattern. Quantum physics reminds us that the field responds not to surface thoughts, but to frequency. And your subconscious is the frequency generator. You can speak affirmations with your conscious mind, but if your subconscious is still broadcasting lack, the signal is scrambled. It is like trying to tune a radio to abundance while the antenna is still fixed on scarcity. But here lies the hope. The subconscious is not fixed. It is programmable. Through repetition, visualization, and emotional resonance, you can weave new threads into the web. Neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. Spiritual psychology calls it rebirth, the conscious decision to install new beliefs, new identities, new inner truths. So pause for a moment and ask yourself, what beliefs have been quietly writing your story? What imprints have you carried, thinking they were facts when they were only programs? Here is the awakening. The subconscious mind is not your enemy. It is your field of creation. It is the entanglement bridge between thought and experience. And the moment you stop rehearsing the old wounds and begin rehearsing the future you desire, you begin to reprogram the web. You are not trapped in the patterns you inherited. You are the one who can weave new patterns. You are the author who can choose a new script. And when you do, the web shifts, the frequency changes, and reality responds. What if your emotions were not private storms, but cosmic broadcasts? Every feeling you hold is not just chemistry inside your body. It is electricity, it is magnetism, it is vibration. Each emotion you experience radiates like a signal tower, transmitting into the quantum field. And that signal does not vanish. It interacts, it resonates, it attracts. Science calls it frequency. Spiritual teachers call it energy. But you feel it every day. Think about the last time you walked into a room where someone was angry. Before a word was spoken, you felt it. The air was heavy, dense, charged with static. Now remember a moment when you met someone who radiated joy. Their laughter seemed to light the room. Their presence lifted you without effort. These are not metaphors. They are frequencies, broadcasting states of being into the field you share with everything else. Quantum physics reminds us that the universe is not built of matter, but of energy patterns vibrating in fields. Neuroscience reminds us that emotions wire your body into states: survival or creation, fear or freedom. Put them together, and you see the truth. Your emotional state is not small. It is the very frequency by which reality recognizes you. Here's the paradox. Most people wait for circumstances to give them permission to feel. They wait for the relationship to feel love, for the success to feel worthy, for the abundance to feel grateful. But by waiting, they reverse the order. They keep broadcasting lack, hoping the field will respond with fullness. The truth is the opposite. You do not feel joy because life gives you reason. Life gives you reason because you feel joy. Imagine two people starting the same day. One wakes heavy with resentment, repeating the thought, "Nothing ever works for me." They walk through their morning blind to possibility, irritated by small inconveniences, magnetizing more frustration. The other wakes and chooses gratitude. They notice the sunlight, the small kindness from a stranger, the hidden opportunities others miss. The difference is not the world itself. It is the signal each person is broadcasting into it. This is why teachers like Joe Dispenza remind us that gratitude is the ultimate creative frequency. When you feel grateful before the evidence appears, you collapse potential into form. You align with the reality already waiting for you. The future you desire is not separate. It is simply vibrating at a frequency you must learn to inhabit. So ask yourself, what signal are you sending? Fear, doubt, resistance, or joy, love, and expansion? The invitation is simple but radical. Do not wait. Begin broadcasting now. Practice emotions as if they are languages the universe understands, because they are. When you rehearse joy, you tune yourself to joy. When you embody awe, you summon awe. When you practice gratitude, you draw to you the experiences that match its signature. Here is the awakening. Emotions are not reactions. They are instructions. Each one is a request to the quantum field, a shaping force that bends probability toward your lived experience. And the moment you choose to broadcast a higher frequency, you are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You become the signal. You become the magnet. You become the creator. What if the distance between where you are and where you long to be has never truly existed? You are taught to believe that your dream life is far away, separated by years of effort, luck, or circumstances you cannot yet control. But in the quantum view, separation is an illusion. The self you imagine becoming, successful, loved, whole, abundant, already exists as a possibility. Not in some distant future, but here, suspended in the field of superposition, waiting for you to observe it, to embody it, to choose it. Physics whispers this truth through the principle of superposition. A particle does not hold a single state until it is observed. It is not here or there, but here and there simultaneously. Your life is no different. Every version of you, the broken and the healed, the striving and the thriving, the lacking and the abundant, exists in potential. The bridge between them is not time. The bridge is choice. But here's the paradox. Most people live as though the dream is a horizon that will someday arrive. They keep rehearsing the old self, anchored in the identity of who they were, waiting for external proof before they embody the self they long to be. They think, once I succeed, then I will feel confident. Once I find love, then I will feel worthy. Once I am abundant, then I will feel free. But quantum law reverses the logic. Confidence creates success. Worthiness attracts love. Freedom magnetizes abundance. The identity comes first. The collapse into form follows. Consider this. Two people both dream of becoming authors. The first continues to identify as someone who wants to write, waiting for time, for clarity, for external validation. Their dream life always feels one step away. The second person shifts identity first. I am a writer. They begin to embody it now, writing daily, speaking the language of story, carrying themselves as the version they want to become. Which one collapses the distance faster? Which one collapses possibility into form? The truth is simple but radical. You do not walk to your dream self. You inhabit them. You step into their frequency, their emotions, their choices, not someday, but now. Every thought, every word, every action is a vote for the reality you claim. Amit Goswami calls this self-reference in consciousness. The moment you observe yourself differently, the universe aligns to reflect that observation. Bob Proctor spoke of shifting paradigms. Your results are not bound by effort, but by the image you hold of yourself. And Joe Dispenza reminds us that the brain cannot tell the difference between rehearsed identity and lived identity. When you practice being your future self, your biology begins to rewire in advance. So the real question is not, how long will it take? The question is, how long will you wait before deciding who you are? Each moment is a portal, each choice is an act of collapse. When you think the thought, when you feel the emotion, when you act as if, you bend the quantum field toward the version of reality that matches your signal. And here is the awakening. Distance is not measured in miles, but in alignment. The more you embody the self you are becoming, the less separation you feel. Until one day you look around and realize, the horizon is gone. The dream is here. The distance has collapsed, because the bridge was never time. It was always choice. What if the future you are chasing is already breathing through you now? You are not separate from the life you long for. You are entangled with it. Like particles once linked across infinite space, your present self and your dream self are woven together by invisible threads of consciousness. The question has never been if you will connect to it. The question has always been, when will you? Remember, you already are. Quantum physics reveals this mystery in the phenomenon of entanglement. Two particles born from the same source remain connected, no matter how far apart they drift. Touch one, and the other responds instantly. Your higher self, the version of you living the dream, is that entangled particle. The moment you shift here, in thought, in feeling, in identity, something shifts there. And as if by echo, the new reality begins folding itself toward you. But embodiment is not an intellectual game. You cannot think your way into the entangled self while living in the emotions of separation. The universe listens not to what you say you want, but to the frequency you broadcast. And your frequency is set by your emotions. This is where many people stumble. They visualize the dream but carry the vibration of doubt. They affirm abundance but radiate lack. They rehearse freedom but embody fear. And so the field reflects confusion, delivering fragments instead of wholeness. To truly live as the entangled self, you must go beyond wishing. You must feel it. Breathe it. Become it. Close your eyes. Imagine walking into a room as your future self. Notice how your posture shifts, how your breath slows, how your gaze steadies. Imagine speaking to others from that identity, making choices, taking actions that ripple with certainty. Stay there until the body believes, because when the body believes, the quantum field has no choice but to believe with you. Joe Dispenza teaches this as emotional rehearsal, training your nervous system to fire and wire with the signature of the future. Bob Proctor called it living as though it were already so. And Amit Goswami reminds us that observation collapses potential into form, which means every time you live the entangled self in your imagination, you are not daydreaming, you are building. Think of two people both longing for abundance. The first keeps looking at the lack in their bank account, waiting for proof. The second shifts into gratitude now, finding evidence of wealth in breath, in sunlight, in opportunities to create. They begin to embody wealth emotionally before it shows up physically. And in time, the field responds, because the signal of wealth is already being broadcast. This is the art of embodiment, to act not from what you see, but from what you know. To walk as though the dream is inevitable. To embody the entangled self so completely that the illusion of waiting dissolves. Here's the shift: you are not becoming. You are remembering. You are not creating from nothing. You are aligning with what is already connected to you. When you wake in the morning, ask, how would the entangled me breathe today? How would they move? How would they love, decide, create? Then live that answer again and again, until the border between someday and today collapses, and one day you will realize it no longer feels like acting, it feels like truth, because the entangled self was never far away. It was always you, waiting for you to live it. What if the dream you are searching for has already been searching for you? You spend so much of your life believing you must chase, strive, and earn. You imagine your dream as something distant, living on the horizon of time, something you will reach someday. But here is the paradox. The dream is not waiting at the end of your path. It is waiting at the center of your being. It already knows you. The double slit experiment taught us a truth most people overlook. Matter does not form until it is observed. Consciousness collapses possibility into reality, which means the dream was never separate from you. It has been shimmering in the quantum field, waiting for you to look, to feel, to remember. You are not a wanderer lost in a vast universe. You are the observer collapsing stars into constellations, time into meaning, possibility into form. The dream isn't hiding. It is mirrored in the frequency you carry, and when you lift yourself into joy, gratitude, stillness, and awe, you finally see what has always been standing with you. Think of it like music. The song you long to hear is already playing on a certain frequency. You don't create the station, you tune to it. If you stay locked in static, fear, doubt, lack, you will never hear the melody. But the moment you align, the music is there, pouring through you, undeniable. This is why two people can live in the same world and experience different realities. One sees limitation everywhere, locked inside the mirror of their fear. Another sees opportunity, synchronicity, beauty, because they are tuned to a different channel. The world did not change. The signal did. Here's the truth you have been circling all along. Your dream is not outside you. It is entangled with you. It has been whispering through intuition, through synchronicities, through the quiet pull of longing. It already knows your name. Joe Dispenza says the body must experience the future before it arrives. Bob Proctor reminds us that you don't get what you want, you get who you are. And Amit Goswami tells us that consciousness chooses reality. All three are pointing to the same doorway. The dream is not a destination, it is an identity. So the journey is not about becoming, it is about remembering that you are the dream walking itself awake. That the life you ache for is not somewhere else. It is hidden inside the choices you make, the emotions you embody, the self you dare to live right now. Pause for a moment. Feel that truth. Your dream already knows you. It has always known you. And every time you step into gratitude, into love, into creation, you are stepping into its arms. The distance collapses. The search ends. What was once a longing becomes a recognition. Here's the final shift. Stop waiting. Stop chasing. Live it now. Because the dream is not waiting to be found. The dream is waiting to be remembered. And today, in this very moment, you remember